There's a moment many people know too well. You walk into a room. Maybe it's a family gathering, a group of friends, or even co-workers at lunch. The TV is on. Everyone is locked in, shouting, laughing, arguing over a pass, a goal, a referee's call. And then someone turns to you and asks a simple question. So, which team do you support? You pause, because the honest answer is none. And suddenly, that pause feels louder than the game itself. In a world where football feels almost universal, not watching it can make someone feel invisible, misunderstood, or even judged. Football isn't just a sport anymore. For many people, it's identity. It's tradition, it's bonding, it's emotion. So when someone doesn't watch football, the question quickly becomes, why? What's going on in their mind? Are they different? Detached? Or are they simply wired in a way most people never stop to think about? Today, we're stepping into the psychology of people who don't watch football, not to criticize the game, not to insult those who love it, but to understand a group that often goes unnoticed, quietly navigating a world that assumes everyone feels the same excitement when the match begins. Because the truth is, people who don't watch football aren't empty spaces where passion should be. Their passion is just pointed somewhere else. Many people assume that not watching football means boredom, arrogance, or trying to be different. But psychologically, it's rarely about rebellion. It's more often about attention, meaning, and emotional alignment. Football is fast, loud, competitive, and communal. For some minds, that combination is thrilling. For others, it's overwhelming, repetitive, or emotionally disconnected. Some people simply don't experience the emotional payoff that football offers. They can understand the rules. They can see the skill, but the emotional spark never lights. And when the brain doesn't receive emotional reward, interest fades naturally. This isn't a flaw, it's how human motivation works. Psychologists often talk about reward systems. When someone watches football and feels excitement, belonging, or pride, their brain releases dopamine. Over time, the brain learns that football equals pleasure. But for people who don't watch football, that loop never forms. The reward is missing. So the mind moves on, searching for meaning elsewhere, and that elsewhere matters. Many people who don't watch football are deeply internal. They process the world inwardly. While others externalize emotion through cheering and chanting, they internalize it through thinking, creating, observing, or feeling quietly. They may prefer conversations over crowds, depth over noise, stories over scores. This is why many non-football watchers are drawn to films, books, music, philosophy, or solo hobbies. These spaces allow emotional reflection rather than emotional release. Instead of shouting at a screen, they sit with their thoughts. Instead of celebrating collective victory, they explore personal meaning. Another key psychological trait is sensitivity to overstimulation. Football culture can be intense. The noise, the crowds, the tribal loyalty, the emotional swings. For some nervous systems, this is energizing. For others, it's draining. People who don't watch football often have lower tolerance for chaotic stimulation. They aren't weak. Their brains are simply wired for calm focus rather than constant excitement. There's also the social layer. Football is often used as social glue, especially among men. It provides easy conversation, easy bonding, easy belonging. But some people don't need shared activities to feel connected. They bond through vulnerability, ideas, humor, or one-on-one interaction. For them, football talk feels surface level, not because it's meaningless, but because it doesn't touch what they value emotionally. This is where misunderstanding begins. When someone doesn't watch football, they're often labeled as antisocial or detached. But in reality, many of them are deeply social in different ways. They just don't rely on group identity to feel human. Their sense of self isn't tied to winning or losing. It's tied to personal growth, emotional understanding, or creative expression. Interestingly, many people who don't watch football are highly observant. While others are absorbed in the game, they're watching people, reactions, patterns, Emotions, they notice how quickly joy turns to anger, how loyalty overrides logic, how strangers bond over shared symbols. To them, football isn't boring. It's predictable. And predictability kills curiosity. There's also the issue of emotional investment. Football asks for loyalty to something you can't control. A team, a system, a result. Some people avoid football because they dislike investing emotion where they have no agency. They prefer effort-based rewards, things where outcome is tied to personal action, learning a skill, building something, improving themselves. Losing because your team played badly can feel pointless to someone who values control and accountability. Their brain asks, why should I feel pain for something I didn't create? That question alone can disconnect someone from the sport entirely. Cultural pressure also plays a role. In many societies, football is not optional. It's expected, especially for men. When someone grows up feeling forced to like something, resistance can form quietly. Not loud rebellion, just silent disengagement. Over time, that disengagement becomes identity. This just isn't me. And here's something rarely discussed. Some people don't watch football because they feel emotions too deeply. Football creates highs and lows, joy and heartbreak. For emotionally sensitive individuals, those swings can be exhausting. They protect their emotional energy by avoiding unnecessary turbulence. Peace becomes more valuable than excitement. As this comes to an end, it's important to understand one quiet truth. People who don't watch football are not missing joy. They're just finding it in places that don't shout. While the world gathers around screens, scores, and chants, they gather around thoughts, moments, conversations, and inner clarity. Their excitement is quieter, but it is no less real. Their passions are deeper, but often invisible. They may never remember match dates or player names, but they remember how a moment made them feel. They remember words that stayed with them, ideas that changed them, and silences that felt peaceful instead of empty. And in a culture that often mistakes loudness for meaning, this way of living can be misunderstood. But different does not mean disconnected. It means choosing depth over noise, presence over performance, meaning over momentum. So the next time someone says they don't watch football, maybe don't ask what's wrong with them. Instead, wonder what they care about deeply. What fills their mind when the crowd goes quiet? What gives them purpose when the world is cheering somewhere else? Because not everyone needs a stadium to feel alive. Some people only need understanding, and maybe that's the real game most people never learn how to watch.